I just got a hold of one of the rarer Berenstein Bears books, the Berenstein Bears Learn About the Mandela Effect by Stan and Jan Berenstein. I thought it would be fun to read through it with all of you, so why don't we have a look together?
Coming to you from beautiful downtown Fortitude Valley, it's the Harry Gold Show, with your host, Harry Gold.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the program. Let's get to reading, shall we? The Berenstein Bears learn about the Mandela Effect. Brother and sister research Nelson Mandela. It seems he was quite an effectual fella. A first-time book, whatever that means. The Berenstein Bears learn about the Mandela Effect. They certainly repeat that a lot, don't they? Stan and Jan Berenstein, Random House, New York. And I probably don't need to read all that out. It was a fine spring day in Bear Country. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and Mama Bear had decided some spring cleaning was in order. "Do you still want this action figure?" she asked Brother Bear, holding up an old worn-out toy. "Nah," Brother replied, evidently more interested in his computer, and so the toy went in the trash. "What about this deflated ball?" Mama asked. "Nah," Brother replied again, sending the ball on its way as well. "How about these?" Mama asked, pulling a beaten-up old picture book from the shelf. "My, I haven't read you one of these Dinkleborg dog stories in quite a while." The cub rolled his eyes, in much the same way he might had she just said the Google or Pokemons. "Dinkleborg, Mama," he corrected, snidely. Mama Bear looked again to be sure. "No, it definitely says Dinkleborg," she replied. Brother scoffed in disbelief, turning from his game. "Come on, Mama, it's..." he began. But the cub stopped short. Clear as day, he could see the title did indeed say Dinkleborg. "But," he stammered, confusedly, it must have changed at some point. I remember it being Dinkleborg so clearly. That's what we've always called them." Brother Bear leapt from his seat and grabbed the stack of books Mama had pulled hers from. But his heart sank as he saw that every single one, from the Dinkleborg dogs do their homework to the Dinkleborg dogs get a colonoscopy, were all precisely that, Dinkleborgs. Brother Bear ran out of the room without another word to his perplexed mother, who, with a shrug and a sigh, returned to her spring cleaning. "Hey sis!" Brother shouted after finding his sibling in the living room. "You remember those books Mama and Papa used to read us? The ones with the family of dogs?" "You mean the Dinkleborg dogs?" she asked, between clacks of her colliding Barbie dolls. "Aha!" Brother suddenly shouted. "I knew it wasn't just me! Look at this book!" Sister stared in bewilderment at the title, mainly because she was too young to read. Brother rolled his eyes before pointing at the title's offending letter. "That's an O, not an E. That means it spells Dinkleborg." "But I remember it being Berg, not Borg," Sister said, puzzled. "How can that be?" "There has to be an explanation," Brother cried, before abruptly dashing back in the direction of his computer. "Someone on the internet must know what's going on." "That's it," said Brother Bear after skim-reading the top results on Bing. "It's called the Mandela Effect." "Oh, I see," Sister said, staring vacantly at the webpage as if she was any more likely to decipher it than a bowl of alphabet soup. "What's a Mandela?" "Not a what, silly, a who?" Brother scoffed. "Nelson Mandela." "Oh, of course, Nelson Mandela," said Sister. "Who's that?" "Wikipedia says," Brother began, ignoring the soulless stare of Jimmy Wales, "he helped end the terrible apartheid in South Africa and became their first black president." "Wow, he's kind of like Barack Obama," Sister cooed. "It also says he's a very important and beloved symbol of change and equality," Brother Bear continued with enthusiasm. "What a cool guy," Sister gushed. "And it says he founded a communist paramilitary group called Umkhonto we Sizwe in the 1960s that tortured and killed a bunch of people," Brother added eagerly. "Oh," said Sister. "Anyway, it's called the Mandela Effect because apparently a lot of people remember hearing he died in prison even though he actually didn't," Brother continued excitedly. "The same way a lot of people remember the Dinkleborg dogs being spelled with an E instead of an O." "Oh, wow," said Sister. "There's lots of other things here too," said Brother. "I remember Curious George having a tail when he actually doesn't." "Me too," gasped Sister. "And I remember Darth Vader saying, 'Luke, I am your father,' even though he actually didn't," said Brother. "Me too," gasped Sister. And I remember Fruit Loops being spelled with a UI instead of an OO, said brother. I still can't spell, said sister. But if I could, I bet I would remember that too. But wait, added sister. You've told me what it's called, but you still haven't explained why. Why do I remember them being the Dinkleborg dogs? Oh, that's simple. The article says it right here, Brother Bear said, pointing to the screen. Anyone who remembers it being Dinkleborg comes from a parallel universe. What? Asked sister. Yeah, the reason you remember it different is because you come from another timeline where they were called the Dinkleborg dogs, and you've crossed over into this universe by mistake, said brother. But I don't want to be in the wrong universe, sister yelped, starting to tear up. Mama didn't seem to remember it though, which means she's from this timeline, brother said cheerfully. I guess she's not really our mama then. Oh no, sister cried. But I want my mama. And with that, sister bolted out of the room, bawling her eyes out. Ah, crud, muttered Brother Bear, before promptly scurrying after her. Mama, Mama! Sister cried, running into the kitchen, where Mama was now preparing dinner and Papa Bear was rummaging through the fridge. Sister nearly hugged her mother, but stopped short. Are you really not my mama? She asked, tearfully. Of course I'm your mama, Mama Bear replied. Good gracious, why would you ask something like that? The website said, Sister gasped between sobs, there were parallel universes, and timelines, and Fruit Loops, and... What on earth website are you talking about, dear? Mama Bear asked with concern. It was this really cool one, Mama, Brother interjected, having just run into the room. It said that the reason we remember the books being different is because we must come from a parallel universe where history happened different. Don't be silly, dear, said Mama Bear before turning reassuringly to Sister. There aren't any parallel universes leaking into ours, you don't need to worry. But Mama, Mama, shouted Brother Bear excitedly. There's proof! The website had lots of examples. Oh, come now, Mama Bear said. I'm sure there are perfectly rational explanations for all of them. But I remember the books being called the Dinkleborg dogs, not Dinkleborg. I can picture it so clearly, said Brother Bear. They're not called the Dinkleborg dogs? Asked Papa. Well, dear, let me ask you this. How many people do you know whose name ends in Berg? Asked Mama. Too many, muttered Papa. Oh, Dr. Polarberg from the hospital, said Sister Bear. And Mr. Grizzlyberg, the lawyer, said Brother Bear. Saul Blackberg, the banker, Levi Pandaberg, the Hollywood producer, Papa Bear added. That's right, quite a few, said Mama. And how many people do you know whose name ends in Borg? The cubs fell quiet for a moment. Brother scratched his head. Sister scratched her chin. Papa scratched his lottery ticket. Does the Star Trek Borg count? Asked Brother sheepishly. Nerd. Scoffed Papa Bear under his breath, before wheezing as a polka dot print elbow collided with his ribs. Also, see how the book's title is written in cursive? Asked Mama. If you look at it without reading carefully, it's easy to mistake that O for an E, especially when one seems so much more likely than the other. I guess that does make sense, said Sister Bear. What about the Monopoly Man then? Asked Brother. I remember him having a monocle, and I remember Curious George having a tail, and Fruit Loops being spelled Fruit. Oh, come on, Papa replied with a snicker, opening the pantry cupboard to prove his point. That's because that is how you spell... Huh, he said. It's the same thing, isn't it? Mama asked. You think of cartoon rich people having top hats and monocles, and you think of monkeys as having tails, and of course fruit is normally spelled that way, so it wouldn't be that strange to mix those ideas up in your head, now would it? Asked Mama Bear. I guess not, said the cubs. What people call the Mandela Effect is really just a set of common misunderstandings. It's very easy to remember things wrong, said Mama Bear. What about that movie Shazam starring Sinbad as a genie? People remember watching it, but it never even existed, Brother shouted. Really? I could have sworn it, mumbled Papa Bear. That's simple too, dear, Mama replied. There's a DC Comics character called Shazam, and there was a movie called Kazam starring Shaq as a genie. And nobody wants to admit they just mixed up two black guys. What about the actual Nelson Mandela thing then? Asked Brother. And how he didn't really die until 2013. That's weird, mused Papa Bear. I thought he died in prison back in the 80s. Why on God's green earth would you think that? Asked Mama Bear, bewildered. It was all over the news when they let him out of jail, she said. And again when he became the president of South Africa. He was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize, for goodness sake. I don't know, I just did, Papa Bear replied. I can understand the other ones, Mama said with a furrowed brow, but that really just makes no sense. See, Mama? Brother interjected excitedly. If you can't explain it, then it must mean the parallel timeline is real. Oh, but I can explain it, dear. There's no need for alternate universes or anything like that, Mama said with a kindly smile. Your father is just a moron, that's all. I knew I should have married Teacher Jane instead. Papa sighed to himself before downing another bear beer. You see, Cubs, a lot of people stumble obliviously through life without paying particularly close attention to the world around them, explained Mama Bear. And then when they remember things wrong, instead of admitting they made a mistake, they want to blame the entire rest of the universe for their own cluelessness. It's as simple as that. Wow, Mama, it makes sense when you put it like that, said Sister. Yeah, I guess you're right, admitted Brother, disappointed. All right then, if that's all done with, who's ready for dinner? Asked Mama. Oh, me, the Cubs replied excitedly. After saying grace and getting through their honey and salmon pie, Brother Bear glanced guiltily at his sister. I'm sorry about before, sis, I didn't mean to upset you, he said. I just thought that parallel dimension stuff sounded cool. That's okay, I forgive you, Sister said happily. Mama smiled proudly at her cubs. There's nothing wrong with playing make-believe, so long as everyone knows it's just for fun, said Papa Bear. I agree, Papa, added Mama Bear. I suppose the whole idea really is just silly when you think about it. Of course it is, Papa Bear said with authority. What is? Well, how come these people that say they come from another timeline never remember really important things being different where they came from? Mama asked. They're all trivial stuff, like how to spell Looney Tunes. You know, you're right, Mama Bear, Papa said. It's never anything substantial, like, in my timeline, China doesn't exist, or in my timeline, there are 2 moons, or in my timeline, the North won the Civil War. Precisely, Papa, she replied with a chuckle. I don't think anyone would take these people seriously if they were convinced the South never seceded. Yeah, Brother Bear chimed in. That'd be like saying you were from a timeline where the Allied pigs weren't conquered in 1945, and we never became part of the glorious Thousand-Year Reich. Or like saying Al Gore never won the 2000 election, Sister Bear added. He was a pretty good Führer, wasn't he, Papa? He sure was, Sister Bear, Papa said. All right, Cubs, off to bed. And don't forget your nightly hiles to our glorious Supreme Chancellor, Mama said fondly. Okay, Mama, the Cubs replied. Sorry again for scaring you, sis, said Brother Bear. Gute Nacht. And that's the end. Wasn't that a pleasantly nostalgic, wholesome reading experience? If there are any other books you'd like me to review, just let me know in the comments. But thanks for reading along with me, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta! Let's play a game. I'll draw someone famous, and 3 people that guess who it is in the comments will get a shout out in the next episode. If your guess for the caricature last time was the late great actor Leonard Nimoy, logically you must be correct. Leonard's rule from the Wheel of Winners is... the first 3 guesses to correctly identify the caricature without saying any part of their name. Boy oh boy did just that, buoying them to the top spot. When you wish upon Nibiru Marduk's star, 2nd place is where you are. And Awesome Yena got the last laugh, taking 3rd. Well done everyone, thanks for playing. Not to say that this week's subject has a big nose, but if they got a septum piercing, they could trip an airport metal detector from the back of the queue. I hear their upper lip is a popular abseiling destination, so considerable is its height, and their ears are so large, if you bolted this person to a kayak, it would become a sailboat. Now who could this be? If you know who that was, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and ding that bell if you want to see more of our videos in your timeline. But this has been the Harry Gold Show. So until next time, stay safe, and God bless.